So in this video, I'm going to be going through expanding, which means multiplying triple brackets. So that's 3 brackets. So the first question might look like this: expand, which means multiply, and it's got x plus 5 cubed. Now the first thing to understand is that x plus 5 cubed means x plus 5, which is a bracket, times x plus 5, which is your second bracket, and then times x plus 5 again, which is your third bracket. So you need to be multiplying 3 brackets together. And the first skill is to know how to multiply a double bracket. So the first thing you do is you split the question and you multiply the first 2 brackets together. So that means I'm multiplying x by x, and then the first x by the 5 in the second bracket. And then I'm going to multiply 5 by x, and then I'm going to multiply 5 by 5. So everything in the first bracket multiplies by everything in the second bracket, and then everything, again, the 5 in the first bracket multiplies by everything in the second bracket as well. So everything is multiplied by each other. So x times x is x squared. Remember, x by itself is x squared. And then x times 5 is a positive 5x. So you must put these signs. And remember, x times 5, 5x, not just 5. And then this 5 by x is also a plus 5x. And then 5 times 5 is a positive 25. At this point, I would actually simplify. So I would look at the like terms. These x's are like terms, so I can bring them together. If you're using a calculator, literally type what you see. You see a positive 5 plus 5. Don't type anything else. I mean, you can put plus 5 plus 5 and it gives you a 10, which is a positive number. So this gives us x squared. That stays the same. We're not adding it. You cannot add an x and an x squared together. Plus, it's a positive 10x. Please remember the x. It's not just a 10. Even though you can't put it in your calculator, you have to remember the x. And then plus 25. And you can put that into its own bracket. So this becomes a bracket. So you can put it in bracket, and then you say, well, I still need to multiply by the last bracket. And so x squared times x, x squared times 5. Let's do it step by step. So the x squared, the first term, has to be multiplied by everything in the third bracket. So let's put x squared times x. This is x to the power of 1. So altogether I have x cubed. And then x squared times a positive 5 is a positive 5x squared. No x cubed. There isn't a third x. So 5x squared. So we've done x squared, but now I need to multiply the 10x. 10x by x, and then 10x by 5. And we'll do that. 10x times x is a plus, because it's a positive times a positive, plus 10x times x is x squared. There's 2 of them, x times x, x squared. And then 10x times 5. Now you can do the calculation on the calculator. 10 times 5 is 50. But you must remember that it's a 50x, because you're not just multiplying 5 by 10, it's 5 by 10x. So it's a plus 50x. And then the last thing I need to multiply is the 25. 25 by x and 25 by 5. So plus 25x, because it's 25 times x, and then 25 times 5. You can do that on the calculator. is 125. So I have a long expression, but I need to simplify it. And I need to simplify it by finding terms that are alike. Now, x cubed remains x cubed. There's nothing like it. And also the 125, there is nothing like it. There is no other x cubed, and there is no other number without a letter next to it. But these two are the same, because 5x squared and 10x squared, they are both x squareds. And of course, these two are the same, because it's 50x and 25x. I can only add letters that are exactly identical, same letter and same power. So my final answer has to have x cubed. This is definitely part of my answer. And then I add these. 5 add 10 is a positive 15x squared. Please do not add the powers. You're not adding powers because you are not multiplying. When you add and subtract, do not change the powers. So this is 15x squared. And then this is 50 plus 25, which is a plus 75x, and then it is a plus 125. So something like this with 3 brackets, you will always have an x cubed, an x squared, an x, and then a number at the end. The next example says, show that 2x plus 4 times x minus 5 times 3x minus 1 equals, and it gives you the answer. And they like that at GCSE. They have basically given you the question, and they have also given you the answer. What they want you to do is to ignore the answer and do all the workings for the question. But at the end, if you've done everything correctly, your answer should be exactly identical to their answer at the top, which is quite nice. So we start by multiplying the first 2 brackets together. 2x plus 4 times x minus 5. Let's do it 2 at a time. 2x times x, 2x times negative 5. Remember, this is a 1x. So 2 times 1 is 2. You're multiplying, not adding. So it's literally a 2. Don't add. In fact, I might even get rid of that, the 1, so that we don't add it. 2x times x is 2. X times x is x squared. And then 2x times negative 5, you might want to use the calculator. You can't put the x in the calculator. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10x. You must remember to put the x. And then I'll do the next 2 together. 4 times x, it's a positive 4. 4 times negative 5. 4 times x is a plus, you must put the signs, is a positive 4x. And then you can use the calculator. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. And at this point, I will simplify the like terms, which are the x's. And I would literally type into my calculator what I see. Minus 10 plus 4. Nothing more, nothing less. Minus 10 plus 4. So this is a minus 6x. Please remember the x. 2x squared minus 6x minus 20. And I put that in a bracket because I must then multiply by my third one. So 2x squared minus 6x minus 20 times 3x minus 1. I'm going to start by multiplying the 2x squared. 2x squared times 3x, 2x squared times negative 1. Not a 1, negative 1. So be careful of the signs. 2 times 3 you can do on a calculator. 2 times 3 is 6. X squared plus x to the power of 1. How many x's? This is x times x, and I'm multiplying by that times x. It's x cubed. So remember, 2x squared times 3x is 6x cubed. 2x squared times negative 1. Well, you can get the calculator. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2x squared, because I'm multiplying by x squared as well. Let's color code that. That was my red. Okay. And then the next one. This is negative 6x. So please note this is a negative 6x, not a positive 6, minus 6x times 3x. And then I've got negative 6x also times negative 1. The signs are so important. So let's use the calculator. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. So I've got negative 18, and you must remember it's an x times an x squared. And then negative 6 times negative 1. Negative 6 times negative 1 is a plus 6. It's a positive 6. So you must put the right sign. Not just the 6, but a plus 6x. Not x squared, because there's no x. There isn't a second x here. So just plus 6x. And then finally, I've got a negative 20. So negative 20 times 3x, negative 20 times negative 1. Negative 20 times 3 is negative 60x, because of that x. Negative 20 times 3x. Negative 20 times negative 1 on the calculator. Negative 20 times negative 1 is a positive. It's a 20, so you must put a plus, because that's a positive number. Plus 20. For the final answer, 6x cubed remains the same. There are no like terms. The plus 20 remains the same. And then I'm going to bring the like terms together. These two are alike, and these two are also alike because they have the same letter. So my final answer is 6x cubed. And then you get your calculator and you put what you see, negative 2, negative 18. You don't put anything else. No multiplication. There's no multiplication anymore. It's a subtraction. Negative 2, take away 18. That's what you put in. Negative 20 x squared. Remember, at this point, at the final answer, you don't change the powers. And then again, you get your calculator and you put what you see, plus 6 minus 60. Plus 6 minus 60, which is minus 54x, because of that x. We don't change the powers, it's not an x squared. And then plus 20. And since you are given the answer, I would check at this point, especially in an exam situation, 6x cubed minus 20x squared minus 54x plus 20. Correct? This question is worth 3 marks, and if they give you the final answer in an exam situation, you can check. If you've forgotten something, you can go and change it and make sure you get the marks. This question also asks you to expand, and this bracket only is a squared bracket. So this means that this bracket, and again this bracket only, is a double bracket. There is 2 of them. X plus 1 times x plus 1, and then times by 2x minus 3. And then I would do 2 at a time. X times x, x times 1. X times x is x squared. X times 1 is plus, it's a positive, 1x. and then 1 times x and 1 times x. 1 times x is a positive 1x. 1 times 1 is 1. It's not a 2. I'm not adding, I am multiplying. 1 times 1 is 1. And at this point, I would simplify my like terms. And I've got x squared, x plus x, 1, add 1, not multiplication. This time it's an addition because you see a plus. So here we multiply. But here there's no multiplication, there's no brackets anymore. We are adding. 1 add 1 is a positive 2x, and then plus 1. And at this point we put our brackets because we're going to multiply by the third one. So I've got x squared plus 2x plus 1 times 2x minus 3. X squared times 2x, x squared times negative 3. So just note, this is a negative number. So x squared times 2x is 2x cubed. X squared times negative 3, well, this is a 1 times negative 3. Okay, so it's a 1 times negative 3, which is a negative 3x squared. And then I've got 2x times 2x and 2x times negative 3. Well, 2 times 2 is a positive 4x times x is x squared. And then 2 times negative 3 is negative 6x, not x squared. There isn't a second x, just x. And then the final multiplication is 1 times 2x and 1 times negative 3. 1 times 2x, it's a multiplication, it's not a plus, it's a positive 2x. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Use your calculator. And then we bring the like terms together. The x squareds are like terms and the x's are like terms. And the 2x cubed stays the same and the minus 3 stays the same. So my final answer is 2x cubed. And then you get the calculator and you type just what you see. Minus 3 plus 4. Minus 3 plus 4. It's a 1. That's a plus number, a positive number. So plus 1x squared. And then you type what you see, minus 6 plus 2. Minus 6 plus 2 is minus 4. So it's minus 4x and then minus 3. Now, the final example doesn't have 3 brackets. It has just an x times 2 brackets. Again, I would start by doing the first 2 together. I would multiply x by x and then x by negative 2. So x times x, x squared. X times negative 2, negative 2x. And then I would put these into the bracket and I would multiply by the second bracket. So I'd do the first 2 together, put them in brackets, and then multiply the double bracket. But this is not just a normal double bracket because this is not an x, it's an x squared. So you have to read things carefully. So x squared times 3x is 3x cubed. There's x squared here, and I'm multiplying by a third x, so it's x cubed. And then x squared times 4 is a plus 4x squared, because 4 times x squared is 4x squared. Not x cubed, not x. It's an x squared. And then I have negative 2x times 3x. Well, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. X times x is x squared. And then negative 2x times 4, well, negative 2 times 4 is negative 8x. And then I look for my like terms. X cubed, there isn't another x cubed. The x, the negative 8x, there isn't another x, which means that the only like terms are these ones, the x squareds. So my final answer is 3x cubed, and then I get my calculator and I type what I see, plus 4 minus 6. So plus 4 minus 6 gives me a negative 2x squared. Again, don't change the powers. The powers only change when we're multiplying. And then, of course, minus 8x. You will notice that there isn't a number on its own at the end. There's an x cubed, an x squared, and an x because of this x at the beginning. And this is the last example for multiplying triple brackets.